Researchers and scholars of religion and human development have noticed that normal patterns of faith involve highs along with lows, disintegration as well as growth. Just as there are natural, predictable cycles in human physical and emotional development, there are natural, predictable cycles in human faith development. Importantly, these are not classified as increasingly bigger and better. Seasons of dormancy and decline are normal and even a sign of health. A healthy faith simply does not move upward in a straight line. James Fowler, a scholar of religion and psychology, identified 6 unique developmental stages that people may encounter if they continue in faith for a lifetime. His 4th stage, rarely reached before middle adulthood, is marked by questioning and doubting everything. Janet Hagberg and Robert Gulitz's The Critical Journey described 5 stages, while M. Scott Peck and Brian McLaren each boiled their stages down to 4. Regardless, each researcher found a similar theme. Somewhere deep into the maturing process, we hit a wall. There is a season after we have things figured out when everything crumbles apart. In Praying the Psalms, Walter Brueggemann described these inevitable crises of faith by using the terms disorientation and reorientation. He offered a plethora of examples from the Book of Psalms in which the writer, lost in confusion, rages against his enemies and against God, only to come out on the other side with a very different view from where he started. Bruce Demarest expands on this to include seasons of orientation when we believe we see clearly, seasons of distress when we're disoriented, all leading ultimately to seasons of redemption, stronger and more mature views that make better sense of God and reality than we had before. Brueggemann describes these shifting seasons as movements and notes that they happen not just once but many times in our lives. The book you're listening to is not a work of religious psychology. However, the idea that faith has predictable stages that include disorientation and disintegration is essential to our stories. So let's examine a common life cycle of faith. Rather than leaning on any individual scholar or theory, we're going to synthesize them into our own 4 stages: inherited faith, confident faith, mid-faith, and conscious faith. Stage 1. Inherited faith. Let's imagine you have a young friend named Hannah who is in this first stage, inherited faith. A few years ago, Hannah wondered if she might see Jonah's whale at the beach, and if God could see her even when she played hide and seek. Since then, she's moved beyond the literalism of early childhood, but still accepts the basic faith and worldview pillars she was taught without question.